Welcome to Trident Astrology. I'm Janine Kane. Today I'm going to be going over the July weekly forecast for the 1st through the 4th. Now, these next few days are going to feel a little prickly, little irritable. We could have a sense of like a dormant volcano about to erupt. So it's going to be high intensity energy this week. This is because Mars and Uranian energies are going to be pervading all through the next few days. Now in this forecast, I'm going to be looking at 4 main configurations, 2 T-squares, a T-square to Uranus, and then a T-square to the Moon. And then I'm going to be looking at a Grand Fire Trine that is formed between Chiron, Mars, and Juno conjunct the South Node. And then I'm going to be looking at a yod to the Sun. Now the 2 T-squares and the yod are very intense energies, and I'm hoping that the Grand Fire Trine energy is going to help mitigate some of the more challenging aspects in the energies. So let's take a look at some of the themes here. So one of the themes is the healing relationships. It's about healing relationships, giving and taking in communication. And this is going to be happening with the Grand Fire Trine. And this is because Mars-Chiron Trine is going to be going exact on the 2nd. And this is going to be forming a Grand Trine with Mars and Chiron. Now the 2 T-squares are going to be formed with the Mars-Saturn opposition and the Mars-Uranus Square going exact this week, forming a T-square to Uranus. And then when the Moon catches up with Uranus in conjunction on the 4th, that's going to be creating a more intense T-square there with the Moon joining it. Then on the 3rd, we have the Sun-SaturnRx Quincunx going exact, forming a yod with the South Node and Juno. So more South Node Juno energy being put in there. And so that's creating lessons in communication, getting through difficult communication and learning to accept and let go of un-amendable relational conflicts. So the energies this week are really about our relationships. It's about communication and it's about healing. It's also about constructive use of our play and constructive use of our creativity and using our time wisely. So let's get started. So this week, Mars is making several aspects to outer planets. And this is significant because Mars is how we direct our energy. It is our will to action. The energetic feeling of this planet can be intense and impulsive. It is very, very energetic. So this is going to indicate where we'll be directing our energy this week and the energetic flavors we'll be experiencing this week. So the Mars energy this week feels like a dormant volcano about to erupt after thousands of years, like I said in the introduction. And this is because of a couple configurations. So the aspects that I'm going to be looking at between Mars and the outer planets include a T-square to Uranus, with Mars opposing Saturn going exact this week, and the Mars-Uranus Square going exact this week. So we've taken a look at that T-square here to Uranus. Then we're also going to be looking at this beautiful Grand Fire Trine between Mars, Chiron, which is conjunct the Moon, and South Node and Juno in Sagittarius. So these energies from these configurations, this T-square here, and this Grand Fire Trine are going to be influential all through the week. This is Independence Day week, so I find it synchronous that we have a T-square to Uranus with Mars opposing Saturn in Aquarius and Mars squaring Uranus and Uranus ruling Aquarius. So Mars, Aquarius, and Uranus all have this archetypal energy of autonomy, independence, freedom, and revolution. So I just think it's really neat that we have this kind of T-square to Uranus, albeit that it's going to be a little bit challenging, but it is synchronous. Okay, so let's take a look at the T-square to Uranus here. Now, T-square energies, our attention for growth configurations, and this is because the planets involved are forming hard aspects, including an opposition and 2 squares. Mars squaring Uranus, Saturn squaring Uranus, and Mars and Saturn in opposition. So let's take a look at this Mars-Saturn opposition that's going to be going exact on Thursday, July 1st, which is going to start off the first day of the month. This Mars-Saturn opposition is going to be going exact at 12 degrees of Leo and Aquarius. Now this opposition here is part of the T-square, is about how we are balancing our focused energy, how we balance our will to action. It is personal growth can happen when we balance our oppositions well. So here, the opposition lies on the axis of creation of Leo and Aquarius. So Mars in Leo is the will to action in creativity and play. It's the need for immediate gratification and individuality and asserting our personal needs. And Saturn in Aquarius here is about disciplined ideas, structured revolution, constructive creativity, boundary liberation, and humanitarianism. So now with these two dynamics at play in opposition, the energy is about constructive play, creative and constructive use of our time for the benefit of others and ourselves. So we want to be mindful this week of unfruitful play where nothing constructive gets done. Or worse, especially because it's Independence Day weekend and some people tend to drink. If we don't use our creativity and our energy for play constructively, we could wake up with a hangover and can't do our responsibilities because we can't get out of bed. So be mindful of this Mars-Saturn opposition energy. This Mars opposition to Saturn is really about valuing our time and valuing our ability to create. Okay, let's move on to the Mars-Uranus Square. Now on Saturday, July 3rd, Mars-Uranus Square is going exact at 13 degrees of Leo and Taurus. And this energy here, this square, is about moving our directed energy from our personal needs to the needs of the whole community. That's the Uranus and Taurus there. Independence Day celebration is like that. We're going to be celebrating our individual freedom and individual rights with the whole of our countrymen and women. So I find that kind of neat. Now, as many of us are likely spending time with our families this weekend, which is a very positive thing, we want to be mindful of this T-square energy because this is an intense configuration. We want to be mindful to balance our individual needs with the needs of others. So with this T-square, it is possible that familial conflicts can happen. So we want to be aware of this. And so using this T-square tension for growth energy and mindfully, we want to be reminded that to move beyond our immediate impulses, that's the Mars. We want to slow down, that's the Saturn here. We want to listen and be thoughtful to the needs of others. That is kind of the Uranian, it's humanitarian energy there going on. So we want to take in consideration the grand scheme of things. So if conflicts happen, is the conflict worth the battle? So be mindful of this T-square happening this week. Let's look at the Grand Fire Trine between Mars-Chiron conjunct the Moon and South Node and Juno in Sagittarius. Now, a Grand Fire Trine is really going to balance out that T-square energy because there is going to be some easy flow energy for healing in our relationships. So on July 2nd, Mars-Chiron Trine is going exact at 12 degrees of Leo and Aries. This energy represents our will to action. That's the Mars in Leo in our personal and relational healing. That's that Chiron in Aries. Now, Chiron, Mars, and Mars both are trining the South Node conjunct Juno in the sign of Sagittarius. Now with the South Node conjunct Juno in Sagittarius, we're asked to reflect on the role our intimate partnerships have on forming meaning in our life. With the Grand Trine here, this week is a great time to evaluate our perceptions and evaluate how our perceptions impact our ability to relate and to love and to be loved. All right, so let's move on here. Also on July 1st, we're going to be starting our month off with a quarter moon phase. So let me pull that up. So on July 1st, we're going to be beginning our first day of the month with the Moon-Sun Waning Square at 10 degrees and 14 minutes of Aries and Cancer. With the Moon conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer. Again, we have repeating themes this week, which include healing and personal development and in our relationships and negotiating the needs of ourselves and others. So with the moon in fiery Aries, which is ruled by Mars, more Mars energy here this week, we will need to be careful of emotional flare-ups. Our emotions may be running high, and our emotional expression may come out impulsively, especially around familial wounds because Chiron is conjunct the moon here. Now, the sun is squaring Chiron. This is going to go exact on Sunday, July 4th, the day we'll all be spending time with our families, increasing the intensity for possible family conflicts or emotional flare-ups. So be mindful. All right. Moving on to Saturday, we're going to be looking at the Sun-Saturn Quincunx. So let me pull that up. So on Saturday, July 3rd, the Sun and Saturn Quincunx is going exact at 12 degrees and 13 minutes of Cancer and Aquarius here. Now, quincunx energies are the most difficult energies to ameliorate because the signs the planets are in have nothing in common to communicate. Cancer, where the sun is in, is yin, it's cardinal, and it's water. Aquarius, where Saturn is residing, is yang, it's fixed, and it's air. So on a personal level, especially with the South Node and Juno in the mix here, because they are quincunxing the sun as well. So it's forming what is called a finger of God formation. And this occurs when two planets are in sextile to each other, and they are forming a quincunx to a main planet. The main planet here is the sun. So we have a finger of God formation to the sun. We're dealing with the unamendable tensions in intimate and personal relationships, conflicts in communication, and the difficulty in feeling stifled. Now, the finger of God configuration here represents unamendable burdens and challenges that one must bear through the life. So those of us who understand lifelong challenges realize that this is where most of our personal growth comes from. So even though the finger of God, this yod here to the sun, is very challenging this week, sometimes we just have to learn to accept unamendable conflicts in life situations or in situations with our loved ones. So a lot of this is about acceptance. Okay, so moving to July 4th, which is a Sunday, Independence Day, we're going to be looking at this T-square to the Moon-Uranus Conjunction. Okay, so on July 4th, which is Independence Day, the Moon-Uranus Conjunction is going to be going exact at 13 degrees and 56 minutes of Taurus. So the moon represents our emotions, and it's going to be joining into this T-square here with Uranus, which was very intense energy, like we talked about. So it's also, this moon conjunct the Uranus is also quincunxing the south node and Juno again, bringing in the element of healing and learning how to communicate in our relationships. So our emotions, being that the moon is conjunct Uranus, Uranus is very abrupt, it's changeable. So our emotions just could be all over the place and they could just be very impulsive. So we want to be careful of that. So our emotions conjunct moon here, it could feel like an emotional eruption happening. So we'll likely also feel stubborn. So if there's any conflicts in relationships going on for any of us, or any irritation, we might feel a need to be stubborn and obstinate, because the moon and Uranus are in Taurus, the most stubborn sign. We want to be mindful here in our interactions with others and try to keep ourselves calm. And if we can't, just walk away from any unamendable conflicts that may raise their ugly head this week. So, yeah, this is pretty intense energies this week, but we can't grow without tension. So this week is really about growth and healing in our relationships. And I always like to look at that part of it too, you know. All right, future highlights. We have the Sun-Uranus sextile going exact on the 5th. We have Mercury-Neptune square going exact, and Venus-Saturn opposition going exact on the 6th. We have Venus-Chiron Trine going exact. We have Mercury-Pluto Quincunx and Venus-Uranus square going exact on the 8th. We have our beautiful full moon in Cancer at 18 degrees and 2 minutes. And we also have Mercury entering into Cancer. So we actually have some very nurturing energy happening with the full moon in Cancer, and with Mercury, our minds moving into a more nurturing, watery sign. We do have some healing energy going on here with Venus-Chiron Trine, so that's going to be really good healing energy. And so, yeah, I look forward to going into that next week. And I really enjoy and appreciate you joining me for another Trident Astrology Weekly Forecast. And I look forward to you joining me next week. Blessings and love.